You have to reprogram your jungling if you want to start to be able to carry every game. Sure, we've talked about ganking and pathing differences, but if you don't reconcile those with your decision making in the jungle, then it doesn't really matter. And to showcase what I mean, we have this challenger example featuring Bo, or Zib as you know him, on EU West. We have a Bel'Veth going down, we have a Diana doing a full clear down, we have a bot lane 2v2 going Fiesta mode, look at camouflaging Jinx hath died, and what do we do from this decision, and how does it let him basically get a 28 kill game? And to start off for Season 13, I will be hosting another bootcamp with Coach Kindred for laners and junglers and for every single role. Topics on your screen now starts end of January 30th. Basically, we're going to be covering everything in this video in depth related to you, giving you some active examples, some drills, everything to make you a better League of Legends player as a whole, all through a really in-depth 2-week bootcamp from January 30th onward. And additionally, I will be raffling off a $400 coaching package to a lucky winner who subscribes in the first 100 tickets, which means a further 4 hours of coaching directly with me, all free for you after the bootcamp is finished. And overall, the bootcamp is just chocked full of absolute free coaching, free VOD reviews, Q&As. We have 10 different sessions for you from myself and Coach Kindred. We have other challenger coaches on call. Essentially, you're looking at something like 30 coaching sessions for the price of one, all within a community hosted by Gosu Academy. So click the link in the description below, sign up, join the Discord, and I will see you all there to learn everything you need to know about Season 13 jungling and laning so that you can climb to your ranked goals and beyond. And as we see the Bel'Veth here on the Raptor pit, as Bo decides to cut instead of doing the blue and the grump to capitalize on the low HP targets, we will be looking at different MMR examples to showcase the decision-making differences that you basically need to fix, those mistakes you need to fix in order to take your jungling to the reprogrammed level whereby you can carry every single game. And this is one of the biggest ones. You have game plan A and you decide to do game plan A. If you cannot adapt based upon the information coming forward to you, already you're on the back foot and you're going to be making a lot of missed decisions. Now, in the other MMR examples, you're going to see exactly what I mean. It's not just about that. Some of them actually make those sort of good decisions and cut their first clears for the ganks. But what they don't do is keep making good decisions from this, like here. We fell back from the gank to our blue into the Scuttle Crab. Why? We know the Bel'Veth is going to be doing a full clear basically after seeing her on this ward, and so we know she's going to go down to the Krugs first. Let's outside in rule blue, Scuttle, snack, see her cross, fall back to Grump. We'll get the full clear, we get the kill, and we get the Scuttle Crab. In the meantime, we have here the Bel'Veth going to the mid lane, Tryndamere is low, and now Bo can go back to base. And as you can see here, even in high elo, jungle decision making can be not so good. And for example, the jungle numbers video we just released, this Bel'Veth obviously didn't really pay attention to that because we'd know after you do your first buff, the second camp that's going to respawn will be about 415 to 425. The one thereafter should be around 435 to 445 to 450. And so this Raptor camp here is not going to be up for a little bit, but this is up. So this whole looking for a dive here is great, and we are able to get the kill, but we weren't really needed for that, and the Diana is going to be coming from base, which of course we do, and as we can see here, we should ding this just in that 435, 445 window. The 450 would be kind of slow, and again, we outside in rule. They are over pushing here. The Bel'Veth is falling to the Scuttle Crab. Now, we are going to go ahead and take this fight, and it's a good fight to take. Look at this. Here we go. The Bel'Veth is fighting. It's a 3v1. Why is this a good fight to take, in your opinion, while we watch this through? Think about it. What's happening that makes a Diana so confident to go ahead and make this play? And all of these things will come together to showcase the jungle decision-making that differentiates those who are Night Barrel, those who are pro, and those who are unpro. And the thing is that we have to focus on from that particular moment was as soon as we go for this fight, and as soon as we go back in time to look at this, now I don't like the alternator here, we should be going Blasting Wand. Okay, Blasting Wand is significantly better than alternator as an early AP buy on Diana and all those kinds of champions. But it is the raw fact that the Kassadin has not gone back to base yet, has no items. The Bel'Veth has not gone back to base yet, has no items. The Tahm Kench died level 1 and died again afterwards, only has a cookie and a Dora and shield, whereas the Gragas has an M-Tome plus a mana crystal. And of course the Diana has spent, and the Karma has boots, which means without boots it's really difficult for them to stick to her. It's difficult to stick to them. Anyway, and now we have the Tryndamere, who died, will come from base, be able to rotate to here within the 20 to 30 second period, and will have a pickaxe plus a longsword. This is not a fight you want to take if you're blue team. So the decision making here by Bo to say, okay, we'll fight because of all these reasons stacked up, yeah, right? There's no English words to describe how good it is when you can make that immediate reactive decision and you can kind of reprogram your jungling to immediately recognize these things. I think it's crucial. Press tab, look at back timers, look at every other lane that you're going to see in this fight quickly while you press tab, and then you can make a really good decision. 4-0-1, already, what a great start. Now, normally if we didn't see the Bel'Veth here, or this wasn't a play to be made, we would look to go into the top lane first for this gank as Tahm Kench was pushing up, or if it wasn't available, Krugs, Raptors, and then cut into gank to the mid lane. The only reason we went to this particular location is because of the play that could be made. Again, we adapted our pathing, and from there, we didn't go Raptors Krugs. That would leave us in a bit of an island situation. Right now, I have to loop back over, I have to spaghetti path, they call it. You have to walk over ground you've already pathed. No, we finish the kills here. We go to the Krugs outside and roll because we want to sequence down again into this bottom lane play, into this dragon play. And obviously, if the Bel'Veth's going to base through death and then sequence down again, we want to be able to cut in. So Diana does exactly thus. Because we fell back to do the Grump way after blue and the gank and the scuttle, our sequencing is not perfectly primed with the wolves into the Grump, so we can afford to do the 3 camps and then cut in and then look for a gank in the mid lane. Kazan does hit 6, we are level 5, we do get the root from the combo, we can keep going, keep attacking, keep hitting your spells. Remember, auto attack, auto attack, auto attack. An excellent use of the map cut, not compromising sequencing because there was no camp. If this Grump was available and this play wasn't available, then we wouldn't necessarily go for it until we hit 6. But because we had no camp, Kama was primed to roam, Bel'Veth wasn't in the picture, it's a great decision. Now, from this, the same thing again. How can we keep this pressure up to get 28 kills? I'm not going to cover all the kills. I will link the video that Bo does from his POV below, because he did release that on his YouTube channel. But nevertheless, a lot of it is about just cleaning up kills and dominating later on. How we get fed and how we get to that position to go from like 8 to 10 kills, 28 kills, that's what you want, right? That's the same thing as how do I get to Silver 3, how do I get to Gold 3, Diamond 3, whatever, and then take that jump to the next MMR range. So through this again, the Bel'Veth has tried to force again, gotten low, yeah, they've killed the Jings. We get our 6 from our Grump. We immediately rotate to the bottom scenario. The Ashe is out of position here. We have the Karma Chains of Destiny. We're going to keep auto-attacking with the Moonlight, get that kill. Now we're a little low. We do have an ult available, so we want to see if we can actually get this dive off here. And if we kill 2 and we die, it's okay. However, we don't want to kill none and then die, because that would be bad. And as you can see here, what the Bel'Veth is going to do is try and hold this wave here to get this 6. Kama actually ends up going in, tanking the aggro, kills her, does get 6, but Diana does the killings, and then dashes to the enemy player, who is a Caitlyn, and gets a kill back. And now again, could we look to take these Krugs from her? We click on it, we see level 5. That means new boosted experience, right? But we don't want to do it because the Ashe is going to come out of base, and we have Rocket Belt completed. This is a good base timer. This is a good basing moment. And I released on my short recently, that's right, I'm releasing daily shorts almost, except when there's a main channel video. I explained that people are going to base way too frequently and not using extended sequences, where they're underfed in fights they shouldn't be, and then they're basically basing when they could just stay and continue to use their lead, so it's not really that great. From this, we go from base with Rocket Belt to the Krugs. We know that Bel'Veth has been sequencing down. We know the Bel'Veth hath been killed here. We know the Bel'Veth wants that Herald, and we know she's going to maybe look to cut in and do a little bit of a loop. Maybe she could kind of do this Charlie Brown's hair into the Herald while we go down and carry on for the dragon, or maybe we cut in here and she can sneak something away. So she's taking the crab outside the rule, which is good, but thanks to good vision, which we don't need because, again, numbers of jungle. In that video, we discussed all the numbers that we can use to make these kinds of plays. Just run at her, kill her, and take all her stuff. And now you can keep doing that. This is exquisite decision making. 901 in 8 minutes, okay? Just as the Herald spawns at 8 minutes flat, 131 enemy Bel'Veth, hyper carry suppressed, we're fed, and now we can solo carry this game. And again, low elo supports won't always have this kind of roam timer, but do you need the enemy support to make these plays? No. You're a Diana, or whatever champion you might be, doesn't really matter. And then from this, we take the Herald. We know that Bel'Veth will most likely sequence and float onto the bottom side, so we'll do that. And in a funny twist of fate, for some reason, Bel'Veth went to the top side. I don't know. There's no reason for her to go to the top side. The Grump's gone, the Herald's gone, there's only going to be a wolf camp. There's all of this stuff you could do. And again, even in Challenger, this player has not reprogrammed their jungling to the modern era. Whereas the Diana here falls back to red. Raptors wants to keep going for the sequencing to match because we don't need to base right now. However, we see action and we say, hey, can I cut this? Protobelt, get the dash, get the R, get the flash. Ooh, nice little Q arc into the kill, onto the Casadino. And again, what do we do from this? Bel'Veth makes a bad decision. So we're going to move in and take her stuff and push her out. And we're going to keep doing that through aggressive positioning. But all of it was because of the cuts, the quadrant clears, the excellent use of tracking, and at the end of the day, understanding atomization spikes, champion limitations, damage output, and how much we can absorb. Well then, that didn't exactly end as planned, but you know what? Sometimes giving shutdowns is part of the game. We don't want to give shutdowns, but, you know, Caitlyn things, and that's a double buff shutdown, so that's not so good. So here we should have maybe just backed off, but outside of that, they're allowed to make plays and be a human being. So let's look at our low MMR example to see the differences here in this decision making. You can see here, look at this Kindred. We're doing a red, blue into the Grump, right? Instead of a red Raptors Grump. And you can see the resets because we're overcutting. And we're just jumping straight into this. There's no point filling it with fluff, right? We want fast information to the point, just like our jungling, which is why I'm speaking like this in this video. And that's why I hope you can rewatch it should you, need to revisit any particular points. I don't necessarily like this clear in essence, but, I feel like if you're going red, blue, Grump in this particular day and age, don't do it. It's going to reset again. Not so good, okay? Don't overkite. You can't just drag it outside of the thing and keep doing that. It's going to reset. You can kind of stand still. Overkiting is not good either. We see here, though, Darius fighting GP. GP's not going to pay attention to these things. We do have a scanner. Very, very nice. Can we go ahead and do this? Yes, we can. But why did we wait so long? We also know that the Nunu, in this particular regard, was leashed on the bottom side sequencing up. And if you don't know that, then, you need to pay more attention level 1. Watch who shows, watch who doesn't, put deep wards, all those good things. I don't need to cover that all the time. This wave, we don't want to necessarily hit too much, but we'll go ahead and do a small taxation of the Scuttle Crab. I'm sorry, Cannon Minion. And now we're in the same exact situation that we will be in the next example with, clearing and gankings. So the Nunu shows up here in this particular case, and again, we know that he's going to be there. Why even go for this? Don't go for this. I'll explain a little more in the next low MMR example, but this is fine. Reset, beeline for the bottom lane for this RNG Scuttle. We see the Nunu crossing mid lane. The gank does give that. Don't. It's gone. It's gone. You have no bot lane pressure. It's a Nunu. It's gone. Waste of time. Completely waste of time. Just go this, into holding the mid lane. That's all you can do here, all right? Get your camps and then hold. There's nothing else. There's no other place to be made. Can you kill this Victor? Does he have summoner spells? We click on it, we see dude has no flash because he used it, but if Nunu walks on down here and we walk over this ward, they see us. We've shown our location. It's not what you want to be doing. Just go for the Krugs into the Raptors, into the hold, absorb, carry on your sequencing, gank this sucker again pre-6. Again, numbers of jungling. We talked about the levels and the timers you need to look for. But because we wasted our time going for a Scuttle that was 100% gone, it wouldn't have been gone. If we just based immediately, we would have gotten there and been able to maybe smite it and snack it before Nunu gets there. And then you can gank bot or just loop back around. In this particular regard, we've wasted our time. Since we ganked top lane and went back to base, we've taken one camp. One. Waste of time. And now we're also pathing down. We've swapped our sequencing, even though we're going to have tier 2 camps level 5 up here. The jungle experience buffs we just got are for level 5 camps and above. The first 2 camps you take after the buff, those are going to respawn at level 4, same as before. But the level 5 camps are the ones that give you the boosted experience. However, given the scenario we're in, we go for the gank on the bottom lane, which again, you have to make the best decision for where you are based upon what the map is presenting you. And the Kindred here twice, using the auto attacks, good ganks, really stretching the limit to get the Darius, to get the Lux. That's great. That's fine. But could we have had so much more? Yes. And now we're moving up through the river to, again, a big fat wave. The Veigar is going to stun the level 6 Victor, and where our Veigar doesn't have 6, we're going to try and get this kill here. Should we get it? We should when we do. So again, good translation gank, but now we see the Nunu move on here into this zone. So the Nunu has telegraphed his behavior. Is the Kindred going to do something about that? Remains to be seen at this stage, but it looks like they didn't see this across the ward, and all they see is the Darius, who is level 6, of course. So what we're looking at here is a 25 treat Nunu, who's going to be taking a Grump, which will get him to 24, and we're at 32. We're 8 behind. 8 treats behind by 6 minutes, 7 minutes. That is not acceptable, and it's because of our bad sort of Krugs, Raptors, Krugs, Raptors mid, and that's been a real focal point of this video is on your first base, where do you go afterwards, and how are you sequencing and pathing? And because we missed the Nunu, we go to the top lane for the ganks, and we get rinsed. And of course, the Gangplank is able to snack something back, which is fine, but that's not a death I want. That is not how we say a good death. There's a bad death. And Nunu's going to run away, and what's going to happen now is very interesting. We respawn and go for this RNG Scuttle on the other side. The Nunu kills the Gangplank. The Nunu hadn't based at all in this game, by the way. The Nunu hasn't based at all, and I'm going to freeze it here, because we died here. The Nunu goes off, comes back, still hasn't based. We know the Nunu sequence bottom to top side. We know the Nunu has done it again. The Nunu has 52 CS. Again, much like the next example, there'll be some similarities, but we're down almost 20. What can we do to snack something back? This and this, all right? Pay attention to the bottom lane, but go for this counter jungling now once he is there without basing. We should have a scanner, we should have a control, we can use it to ward and clear our way into the jungle and take these camps away. Then, what we do is we look at the bottom lane state and go, is this diveable? Is this gankable from this angle? And that's what we should be looking for, because now we get plus 8 CS back, which is minus 8 CS back for the Nunu, who again, hasn't based, is going to come back to the mid lane here for a kill on the Veigar and go too deep. That's too deep, and for this he will die. So if you're counter jungling this and you see the death, you're like, great. Now, oh, that is diveable, you see? And people can go, well, yeah, but your results. This happens every game. These availabilities are here every game, and guess what? If it isn't, and they're pushed on up, well then just gank it like a human being from a normal angle. Now, you don't have to dive it, you can just do a regular gank because you'll be 6, they're not. Currently, if you do blue grump, you are 6, which means you can kill because this is a third spawn grump, third spawn wolves. If the Nunu really does stay out and die, or maybe he gets his gank off and goes up again, I take your whole blue side quadrant and kill them. Or at the very least, I can do this, kill them, and then do the dragon. You show up, I kill you. Then I loop back this, I will go back to base, outside and roll into this if possible. If I can gank top line first, I will. Or do I do what Zib did in the first example, which is I'm just gonna kill you on your red. Oh, sorry, that's the next thing. Spoiler alert for the final example, talking about Zib on Kindred to showcase this kind of advantageous aggressive jungling. With that in mind, and you can see here in this example representative of your platinums and below, and yeah, you know, some things are more exacerbated in silver or gold and less so in platinum, but other things kind of crop up, but there's a lot of consistency in terms of missed decisions or just no decisions or just straight up bad decisions. So in this particular situation, we're Dinah. We are just standing still and we're basically just smacking camps in the face. And from the brief Kindred example, we basically saw that we were overkiting, causing resets. So you want to kind of split that difference, right? If you overkite, it takes too long and you basically don't get any benefit. And if you just stand there and hit stuff, yeah, you go faster, but it compromises you in terms of HP and resources. Now, basically here we've skipped the Krugs. Why? I don't know. The Zed got leashed bottom lane, he's going up. What's a big thing about Zed, Karthus, and so on? They clear really, really quickly. So if you're not going to make a sort of play that gets ahead of them, you better damn well be sure that you're doing the one thing that protects your house such that you can make a play somewhere else. And in this situation, we see here the Mundo is fighting the Garen. The wave is crashing in. We're looking at the minions right now. We're going to go ahead and tank all of these camps if we go for this play, but Garen's going to go in and bait it. The Mundo's going to activate his ghost and run away. We're going to try and hit that Q so we can get that E. We're going to get that electrocute proc. Again, why are we going to electrocute? No, we should not be doing that. Now we're fighting a whole minion wave, taking all of this damage. This is not necessarily a good gank. And of course, the ganking video outlined all of these things and how you can basically be a significantly better ganker. Now let's break this down. In a higher elo example recently, one of the videos I released, I basically complimented a challenger jungler for being so intelligent about this sort of scenario. Where's the Zed right now? If you weren't thinking where's the Zed, that's because you're platinum and below. And again, no insult. Maybe you are thinking about what the Zed is, but maybe you're going to miscalculate where he is. This is the biggest thing between these decision makings that kind of really affect your outcome of the early game, because right now, this dude at 319 should be finished. He should be here for this gank. He should be here for the scuttle long since, okay? Which means he could very well just be trapping us in our jungle. Obviously, in this particular case, I had to research this game, although it didn't take me very long. I basically scouted 5 mid to low MMR games before I found 2 to 3 examples I could use. And that's how easy it was, really. I only needed 5 because it's so representative of the issues that they have. Now, we don't even get the camp, right? We end up losing it to the Zed, giving a free one. He's just going to flash here in ES, and we're dead. What should the Dine have done? Said, well, you know what? This gank was a stupid-ass idea. I didn't do my Krugs. I am now doing a full camp in a clear, leaving 2 outside edge camps level 1, losing one of them to the Zed. And you know what? That sucks. If we just full cleared, or at least, you know, reacted to a more natural gank, again, cannon wave crashing, with a whole bunch of minions coming, we're going to tank everything, and Zed will be able to show up faster. So we shouldn't even be looking at this. We should have full cleared, reset immediately, taken the outside in rule for this bottom scuttle, look to 2v2 this, look to gank this, and then you can carry on sequencing. That decision wasn't done properly. And now, if you do go for this gank and it doesn't work out, don't go for the grump. Just say, yeah, I'm losing it. Base. Go to the opposite side. Same thing. If he does show for the dive here, you get his tier 2 grump, and then you can loop back to your red side. Which is why we want that Krug camp in the first rotation and not to be level 1 when we do that. Look at this in comparison to the high elo Diana example though. Out of base, we're going to the Raptors. Why? To go Krugs, to go bot lane, but what about the rest of our sequencing? Yeah, we lost the grump, but that's not really the point here. The point is the mistakes in the first rotation are now compounding the mistakes that we're having in this rotation, and it's going to compromise all of your abilities to carry games. Even if you make these plays in other games, it's not the right play. So we do the Raptors into the mid lane gank, much like our Diana in the previous example, but she's level 3, Karma's level 5, and we have boots plus an attack speed dagger. So it's not like we have the advantage. And again, we have a Kassadin as well, so I'm like that we have some similarities here with Karma's, Kassadin's, Diana's. What's the Zed going to be doing? Dude's going to be doing outside in rule into a full second sequence. So if you're playing, oh, bad cut, we saw that, I saw that, but he knows that Diana's most likely going to be going to the top side, so we can look to invade, counter gank. He's making the right decisions. The Zed has reformed and reimagined his jungling for the season, and as such, will most likely climb if he plays like this consistently. What did the Diana do? Instead of going this into this so she can fall back to this logically, she decided to go this, does this, and then falls back down to this, but says, hey, look, bot lane's an action I can actually act on, which is, correct. We want to do that, but the whole spaghetti power thing, that has not put us in a good position. And again, we have boots of speed, an attack speed dagger. It's enough to get some kills here. We're tanking the whole wave. We don't want to give the Jhin a kill, but we're going to do so anyway because we're just desperate. We're desperate to look for plays. And then the Zed in the meantime has just done exactly that, right? What's again the numbers in the jungle? 28's a full clear plus crab, 44 would include that second rotation. We of course got both scuttles, which gives us an extra 48, and we stole the Diana's Grump, which gives us 52. So 44 to 52 because of the Diana's missed decisions. Not very good, not putting herself in a good situation to win this game. And again, from base now, is going to be walking slowly with a tail between her legs, or a toad in this particular case, to Krugs, to bottom lane. Zed's going to be 6, he is 6. He didn't really do anything, he just cleared and basically took her bad decision and used it against her, which is exactly what you want to do. And very quickly to look at a Kindred example here, we can kind of compare these as well. We have a Diana going down. Bo has decided in this particular game to full clear because there was no very obvious plays that we could make across the map. And the nice thing about Kindred in this season is that you can't do this. Our mid laner dies here, so what do? We say, okay, look, he's low, we finished our full clear, the crab spawning, don't care. Can I get a kill here? Immediately reacting to the information, but in a way that makes sense, right? We clear the ward, we see, all right, he's gonna back off. We have the scanner to give us information that lets us know that he knows where we are. You following that? And if we don't have the scanner on this particular play here, we wouldn't know that, and we might commit an overchase, and then obviously Diana's gonna show up here. Again, a little bit of wasting of time, but looking for that high risk, high reward kind of play. Yeah, we're losing a little pressure, but we also could get a nice kill onto the Zed. From this, we'll take this Scuttle Crab. We don't get the RNG blessing. They know the Diana's taken everything. 28 CS again. 29 CS actually, because of a minion or a ward, and that's huge. Numbers of jungling. 24 is a full clear, 28 is a full clear plus crab, 29 or any sort of one deviation upward is them taking a ward or a minion through a gank here. Now again, to use the same sort of logic, we don't go to the Raptors down into the bottom lane. I mean, we could, but then it compromises our sequencing. We also kind of don't do this, and then go topside and skip our Krugs. We take the second spawn of the Krugs, we look bottom lane to see, hey, is this something we can do? No? Okay. Then we can float up to the Raptors after the Krugs, and then we can always loop back down, or we can carry on up. We're giving ourselves two options from our decision making through our pathing versus only one, as you would have seen in the lower MMR examples. Now we see the Diana on the top side here, 33, so that means she did 29, went back to base, took her Krugs, cleared the ward, 34. We're gonna shadow the mid lane here, because obviously we saw her on the map there. We can get through. Again, good pathing control here to make sure we're not seen, but we do actually get seen a little bit. But hey, look, Raptors are up, I know they're up, I have the lead, I have the prior. What decision can I make in this moment that destroys the enemy jungler, gets me fed, and helps my lane? That. You have to be able to PvP execute this kind of decision when you're playing an aggressive Kindred style jungler. And we hit the mark. From this, we know that we're gonna have this plant up at this particular moment, so we can use the plant to go for those dives. Again, the 5-minute 10 sort of plant spawn here through the jungle numbers video. I referenced that a little bit ago as well, and I will link that below. We can go ahead and take this. We can see that the Yone is being destroyed top lane. And this is the other thing, right? When you have coin flip lanes go in your favor, what am I doing to ensure the coin flip continues to be just winning? There's no coin flip anymore. Basically, it's a fake coin with two heads, and you keep tossing it, and the owner's like, eventually it will land on tails, right? And then it won't, because you've replaced the coin flip of 50-50 with 100 to 0, because you impacted this lane in such a prolifically strong way. We've also now forced her down to go to the bot side 99%, so we ping it out. We know she's gonna get this, maybe show up here, maybe look to just take the dragon. So what we do is instead of falling back to the quadrant, we say, how can I keep this pressure up to prevent the Diana from getting anywhere near a victory screen, which is nice because we had the Bel'Veth versus Diana in the first example, and now we have the Kindred versus Diana, same sides, both snowballing junglers that need to kind of get away with it. And here's another thing. What if Diana just decides to go ahead and take my red buff, and both are smiting this? Remember, you don't get healing from smiting anymore, so that's a muscle memory thing kicking in. You have to kill the camps, there's no point smiting it at all. But that's again just good jungle decision making. Why? Because we're putting ourselves in the mind of the enemy jungler and saying, hey, what would I try do, or what would they most likely try do in the situation where I've now cut in, ganked their top laner and ruined his life? And most likely they'll think, okay, Kindred sequencing up, probably gonna fall back to the blue side. No, I'm gonna not do that. I'm gonna go back to base, get the atomization advantage, go defend my red buff, defend the counter gank bottom lane, and if they do try to fight, again, I have the itemization advantage through great back timing, good decision making, refocusing, reimagining how we jungle to basically get ourselves fed, have the higher CSPM, have the highest APM, obviously that's always good, have more kills, and just overall suppress the enemy jungler such that if you can do this consistently every single game, you will 100% give yourself the best shot in hell of winning every game. Obviously, there's a 20% threshold for losses and inters and trollers, but let's just say for effectively, the goal is to try and win 100% of our games. And that's because we, instead of doing the blue side here, we say, I saw you top lane on this ward here, and I saw you sort of showing up in these mini waves or whatever you saw them. Doesn't really matter because we knew she did bottom side into the invade into death, which means she has to go top side next. So I'm gonna finish this, skip my Krugs, cut in, and just kill you and take your stuff. Then I take more of your stuff, basically, getting more marks. 51 to 58, but 19 to 22 on the treats, which means I have the 900 to 600. And now we can shadow mid lane and have a look to maybe do something here. Let's have a look. If nothing, we can back on out and we can go up to the Herald because we've already snuck the dragon from the red invade. So that's it. Make sure you are reimagining how you jungle this season and really bringing all the principles together, and you can see how it affects yourself positively. You can see how it affects your lanes positively, and you can see how it affects the enemy jungler negatively. And that's always the outcome we want if we want to try and give ourselves the best shot in hell of winning every single game.